everyone and welcome back to the Naio Nails channel. Today you are here with Meg and I am going to be doing a full set of Valentine's nails with an edgy twist. So I'm going to be running you through all of the prep work that goes into the beginning of a set. So here, as you can see, I'm just using a 120 grit file and I am just buffing the nail plate to take off the surface shine. You don't need to use too much pressure with this, just make sure that the nails are not shiny anymore and all the oil is removed. Then we're going to go in with some pointed tips because we're going to go with a stiletto-y sort of vibe today, I think, with a little bit of a soft edge on that, just so they're not like daggers, because obviously no one wants daggers. And I'm using our brush on glue here. This is amazing glue. I don't seem to have any issues with the tips flying off or removing themselves or lifting, anything like that. It dries reasonably quick as well. I would say between 3 to 5 seconds the glue is bone dry. As you can see here, I'm just popping on those and I'm going to do the other hand as well in a second. Fabulous. Okay, so now I'm just cutting down to a rough shape. When I'm doing stiletto or almond, I always ask my clients to tell me where they'd like their nails cut to a little bit longer than what they've got in their head, if that makes sense. So we always want to cut a smidge bit longer than where the vision is going, because I find that when I am creating stiletto or almond, I do need that little bit of like wiggle room. I'd say like a week's worth of growth wiggle room to be able to get that shape in without making the nails too short by the time they've got the acrylic on and they are perfected and filed at the end. So that is just a little tip for me if you ever struggle with your nails suddenly looking really short. Once you've filed them, especially if you're a beginner and you think, oh my god, I swear they look longer than that, just make sure that you cut them a little bit longer and just tell your client not to panic, that they will be shorter, but it just gives you that little bit of play. So I'm gonna now go in and just file my shape in using the same 120 grit file. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but just make sure that you try to get the sidewalls and the general shape of the nail as perfect as you can. This will then save you time. Once you've put the acrylic on, you'll have a lot less filing and buffing to do after that. As you can see as well, I'm just buffing over the top of the tips and also where the tip joins to the natural nail, where we've glued it. I'm just making sure that that is buffed so everything is very flush with each other. You've got no steps, no ridges, and there's no excess glue hanging around. So I'm just going to crack on and finish that now, and then I will be back with you with the next step in a second. Right, so now that that's done, I'm going to go in with my acid primer. This for me is the best. I find that it really reduces the lifting and the stick on the nail, and the hold is fantastic. And what I've done here is I've created a little blend of our crystal clear acrylic powder mixed with porcelain pink and the mega white. I've just popped it in a little pot on the side. You can't really see it, it's on the, out of camera, but I've just mixed that all together and I found that this gave me a really nice soft milky white. And again, with my application, as always, I go in with a main bead just above the free edge, and then I'm dragging that down and patting using the barrel of the brush. It's really important when you are placing down your first bead that everything is very flush to the natural nail. You don't want to see a big ridge or a big step between the natural nail and the acrylic powder. This will then cause lifting, and it just means that everything is a little bit too dry and not smooth and adhered to the natural nail. So make sure that everything's really thin and smooth, and it almost looks like it's just a join between the natural nail and the acrylic, all the way from the sidewalls to the cuticle. Then you're going to go in with that cuticle bead, and then you can obviously add with extra beads on top of that if it's not smooth enough and you don't think your apex is quite there and you haven't got enough strength in the arch of the nail. As you can see here, these were quite long at this point, so I did need to go in with a couple of extra beads because I found that the consistency that I was picking up again and again and again was just too watery. I don't know what happened to me this day, I just wasn't feeling a perfect bead, but that's fine because it's never perfect. So we went in here, once I applied all of my acrylic, you can see it's not too thick, it's got a nice arch, it's got nice structure. Everything was smooth, and the coverage of the acrylic was also unreal. For like a milky white, looked really good. We just decided to take off a little bit of extra length here. I wouldn't usually cut the acrylic once it's been applied, but they were too long at this point. So we knew where we wanted to be. We both had a discussion. So I just nipped off those tips while the acrylic was a little bit soft. And then we let them dry. And I'm going to go in now again with that 120 grit file, and I'm just going to smooth out my edges, perfect everything, and make sure that the shape is fire. I tend to begin with the bottom of the nail where the free edge is and the end of the shape. Once I've got that perfected, I then move on to my sidewalls and my cuticle area and make sure that everything is really smooth. Again, I'm going to use the same word, flush to the nail. Flush to the nail bed. You want everything to look seamless. So I tend to do it in that order. Anyway, I'm going to crack on, and you can see how I get a really nice natural stiletto slash almond. It's giving almond, and then right at the end it just wants to snatch it in and get a little bit of a stiletto vibe here. But I did make them a little bit softer on the edges because we don't want Tian to end up stabbing herself or ripping holes through all her clothes. So yeah, we did soften it a little bit. You can see how smooth they are here. This is great structure. These are going to last for weeks. You don't need thickness to a nail. Remember, they don't need to be super thick to have strength. They just need to be applied correctly, and your apex needs to be on point. I just went in with my buffing block after that, and then we're going to use our gel top nail sealer, and I'm going to start with the middle finger. We're going to be doing some 3D work here using our builder gel, and then on top of that we're going to be using chrome powders. I am also going to be using my airbrush today. You know I am a sucker for my airbrush machine, remembering that I do use all my correct PPE. I don't tend to use it much with clients. Tian does work with me here, so you know we use it together, but obviously you can create exactly the same effect using sponges and pigment powders. I just prefer to use my airbrush machine. That is my personal preference, and that is what I will continue to do. But anyway, moving on from that, we are using builder gel here, and I'm just flash curing in between each stroke, and you just want to start by the thickest bead of your builder gel. You can see it on the tip of my brush there, at the edge of the nail, and then you want to swipe it in to the center using slightly less pressure as you guide yourself down and into the center of the nail. Obviously, flash curing in between is a great way to stop the product from slipping and sliding. You can obviously put your hand into the lamp, but it's just easier to have a handheld. When you're picking up your builder gel for these 3D lines, you do want to keep your brush in a slightly downwards position to begin with, and this is going to create a bulb on the end of the brush, and that's where the thickest point of your swirls are going to be. So then you can place it straight down on the nail using a lot of pressure, and then as you slide the brush up and out through that swirl, you can then relieve the pressure, and it should look something like this. Really easy. That's the best way I can describe how to do your 3D swirls. So now that I've done that, I'm going to properly cure it, and then I'm going in with one of our nice iridescent pen chrome powders. I can't remember what the name of it was because it's numbers, but we'll link it in the description box below for you. Each of the different chrome powders, when they're iridescent, do come out slightly differently depending on the base of the nail. So we did test out a couple of different shades at this point, and we used a couple of different shades over the Aurora nails and the white ones just because we wanted everything to look really smooth and seamless, and we didn't want anything to stand out too much. So you can see here I am now going in with our gorgeous pink shade Bath Bomb. This is a lovely medium pink, really good for summer. It's become easily one of our most used in the salon. You can see it just speaks for itself. It's a lovely pink. It's kind of pastel as well, so it's not a neon pink, but it's still bright, so it's definitely got like a pastel base to it. I just created an aura on the thumbnail, as you can see here, and on the pointer finger, the index finger, the ring finger, I made it slightly bigger because we wanted that nail to be more covered than this one. So you'll see there is a difference between the two. It wasn't a mistake of mine. I did want the thumb to be less covered, more white showing, and the ring finger to be more covered. I do ramble on, don't I? I hope you understand when I describe all these things, because I find that in my head it works, but when it comes out of my mouth, it's a ramble. But you get my drift anyway. I could probably say it in 10 less words, but this is me we're talking to, so yeah, that's how I describe things. Anyway, moving on. The thumb, we are doing a really cute 3D bubble sort of effect heart. I'm beginning with the 2 lines coming towards the centre here at the bottom of the nail. They're not symmetrical, and one side swerves off to the outer edge a little bit more than the other. And then I'm going to start the heart shape here. Again, I'm just using the builder gel and just making sure to flash cure in between. So I'm going to do one side and then I'm going to do the other side. If you find it's not thick enough, you can just go again after you've cured all that with a second layer, and that will just thicken it up again for you. We really did love this nail. It's very, very cute. I feel like you could even swap this out for like a crystal heart as well. You could get little tiny diamantes and create the heart using those. I've seen that quite a lot online as well, but today we just wanted to keep the colours really neutral to the milky white, the pink and the clear with the iridescent chrome. Is anyone doing anything nice for Valentine's? It's my birthday before Valentine's. We have such a hectic week. So on the 12th is my birthday, then the 13th is my mum's birthday, and then obviously we have Valentine's on the 14th. So I feel like it's actually just my week. I have a birthday / Valentine's week. So it's kind of fun. We used to go out and do loads of stuff before I had Bali, but now that we've got Bali and I'm working 2 jobs, it's hectic. I'm always knackered. So to be honest, I'm not gonna lie, we're probably just gonna get a takeaway for every single one of those days. Might treat my mum and take her out for a little lunch or dinner or something, and maybe I'll go for dinner on my birthday evening, but it's a Thursday, so kind of kills the vibe, doesn't it really? But yeah, we'll probably just have a takeaway. Let me know in the comments what you're doing for Valentine's Day this year. On another note, this heart is looking super cute. I'm just going to finish it off and pop the chrome powder on top. Sorry, I was croaky voice there. Our household is so sick right now, it's a joke. Barley's off school again this week, so I'm stuck here with my little helper whilst trying to voice over in a quiet area and a sick but hyper child. So that's really interesting. Anyway, for this nail we're going to be doing a silver chrome. I think pretty much for the rest of the nails now it's going to be silver chrome. So I'm just going over with the iridescent first just to keep it in touch with the rest of the set. And then I'm going to top coat over. Then I will go in and buff, and we'll place the serious black gel in the design that I want on this nail. It's going to be like a love heart similar to the thumb. So I'm just going to be back in a second with the next steps. I'm just going to let you just sit and watch what I'm doing here, obviously top coating and then buffing, and then I'll be back when I come to do the design. Okay, I'm back, and once I buffed all the nails and they're all cleaned off, I'm going to go in with Serious Black, and I've mixed a little bit of builder gel with this as well, just to create a slightly raised effect. Like, it's nothing major, it was just a tiny bit, but I just wanted the lines to stand out a little bit more. So on the pinky we went with like a big swirl, which was thicker on one side and thinner the other side across the middle of the nail, and then I did like a diagonal H, I guess you could like say it looks like. That's the only thing I could think. When I was looking at it, I was like, all I could have in my head was Hell's Kitchen. I don't know if anyone watches that, but anyway, we're obsessed. So when I saw the H, once I got it in my head, it was just Hell's Kitchen, and that's all I could see. But yeah, imagine you're doing the Hell's Kitchen sign on the pinky finger. Moving on from the pinky finger, you're going to do one line in little wiggly motions from the outer edge of the cuticle area, so obviously facing towards the thumb, going across the nail in a diagonal manner and then back again in the opposite way. And then for this one, obviously I said we were going to recreate something similar to the thumb, slightly different. We did it a bit thinner this time, but it still looks super cute. So I'm going to go ahead and crack on with that, and then we'll be back with the next step in a second. I hope you're enjoying this set so far, by the way. I just thought it'd be nice to give a bit of an edgy tutorial as well for people for inspo. If they don't just want like the cutesy typical Valentine's set, it's nice to have something a little bit more edgy as well in there sometimes. I am using a really long fine liner brush doing this, just because I find that it's easier to sweep the brush around the nail to create those really nice curves. And I wanted to keep parts of this nail really thin too, like the bottom of the love heart. So I cured it for like 40 to 60 seconds, and then I'm using one of our silver chrome powders. You can find any of our chrome powders that I've used today here on our website. The links will be in the description box below. And also make sure to drop your comment with like what you're up to for Valentine's Day, or what you thought of this set. And yeah, give it a thumbs up as well if you liked it. So I'm just going to go ahead now, chrome the rest, and then it's literally top coat and we are done. I hope that you liked that tutorial. If you do want any more in-depth application of acrylic or builder gel videos, then please let me know. I can definitely get onto that and do that for you. And yeah, with that, that'll be me finished, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this video. Enjoy the final results. We were both super happy with it. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.